Thank you, council members. Thank you both for being here this morning. It's, it's interesting that we live in a city that's the country's fourth largest city, soon to be third largest city, most diverse city. And I can tell you that we love working with our mayor and council. You all are just phenomenal. I think that you're in touch with the needs and the priorities of our community. And you understand our community because you care about our community. You take time to care about our community. So thank you, and thank you to the officers and leadership cadre that's up here. I'm not going to go over the history of the agreement because they just did it, and I don't want to repeat what was already said in the proclamation. But we know that this year has been a tough year. It's been a tough year for our country. It's been a tough year for the free world, and we know that this past year has just been a tough year for our community. I tweeted this weekend. I was with my little boy Jake, who's 12 years old, and I made him work because he's been stuck at home. I mean, I feel so badly for our children with COVID. A lot of them can't go to school, and let's face it, they don't have that interaction that's so badly needed. So I made him go to work with me for a while. We went to our appreciation day for our Citizens Police Academy at the Academy. That I want to thank you for putting it together, Officer Byrd. And the great thing about what was happening is we were driving up, and we were taking the connector road from the Hardy Tollway to the 610 freeway. He had been with me for a few hours that morning, for about 4 hours, and I said, I'm going to give him a break. Yes, it's enough. And he said, Dad, I love our skyline. You know how you can see that downtown? And I said, yeah, I do too. So he goes, I really love living here in Houston. I said, really? And I said, why? Because you have to have grit to live in Houston. You have to be tough. You have to be able to persevere. And he's not talking about himself because he's blessed to be in good circumstances. He's talking about our community. This is a working class community. This is a working community. And this is a community that has gone from challenge to challenge to challenge. A lot of it's natural by Mother Nature that is impacted by decisions of man and societal decisions that we know with Harvey and every other storm we've had to come out here. Now this pandemic and now this freeze. But the other piece is crime. Unfortunately, the pandemic has had an impact on crime and on the psyche of the American people across the nation. This is nothing unique to Houston. We have seen violent crime spike. And this year, what we want to focus on is 3 areas that we believe are really going to be important and impact the safety, collective safety of Houstonians. One is road rage. And I consider street takeovers part of this road rage incident where we saw shots fired at a takeover. And I want to say that I'm very happy that we put together to deal with the road rage and the street takeovers our own team with our traffic enforcement division that is doing a phenomenal job. Just this weekend, I know they had 5 vehicles that were racing. We pursued 3 of them, and 3 of them went to jail. They were actually caught. I don't know if you guys saw that. Unfortunately, one of them was an NFL player out of the Raiders team that plays for the Raiders in Las Vegas. But they all went to jail. The reason that we want to put a stop to that is because death is final regardless of how you get there, whether it's through road rage or through a traffic crash resulting from people racing and acting a fool on the streets. You can't get that life back. And so we are going to continue to focus on it with our own Traffic Enforcement Division task force and our multi-agency task force that we have established with our friends at the Department of Public Safety, the Harris County Sheriff's Department. Some of our constables are actually participating in it, and obviously the Houston Police Department. And those task forces will continue throughout the year, and we believe we're going to have an impact. These people that engage in this activity love their cars. They spend a lot of money on their cars, and guess what? We are seizing cars and they're forfeiting cars. So that's one of the things you can anticipate if you get caught engaged in this activity. And the second piece is jail. We are going to take you to jail. You're not going to pass go. You're not going to collect $200. You're going to collect attorney fees as you have to deal with these issues. The other area that's important to us is gun safety, gun violence. And you're probably thinking, why are we talking about gun safety and gun violence when murder is through the roof throughout the country? Well, we can impact gun violence and to talk about gun safety, we can impact murders, right? And so what we want to tell people is a couple of things. Number one, Make sure that your firearms, because the third thing we're going to talk about is burglary of motor vehicles, are secure. Make sure they're secure in your home. Make sure they're out of the hands of young people. And make sure that if you're in a volatile situation at home with domestic violence going way up because of the aggravated assaults that have gone up, which is driven in large part by domestic violence, is make sure that firearms are not in a home. Take them out of a home, remove them from a home where there isn't stability in that home. And you talk about gun safety, and you talk about gun violence, and you talk about felonious murder and the murders of that we're seeing out here. Burglary of motor vehicles continues to be a problem. We need people to take, lock, and hide your items in your vehicles. The most important item that you can keep out of your vehicle is your firearms. Texans love firearms. They love their firearms. We support the LTC program. But here's the problem. People are leaving their firearms in their cars, and guess what? The criminals are targeting cars for guns. Every year, thousands of firearms are stolen from motor vehicles in our city. And those firearms end up being used to commit robberies, commit assaults, and commit murders. Do not leave them in your car unless you have them locked in a lockbox that cannot be easily removed. And don't advertise that you have a gun in your car, or that you have a high probability of having a gun in your car. By having your NRA stickers, your protected by Smith & Wesson, you might as well put a big billboard that says, hey, there's a good chance there's a gun in here, so break into my car. Do not advertise that you have guns. The other thing that we want to talk about is domestic violence, that we know has been a big part of our city and the driver in terms of our aggravated assaults. We're very proud of our DART team. They're working very closely with our partners, both non-governmental partners and governmental partners, to go out and help families and help victims of domestic violence. And our message to the community is this: if you need help, help is available. Please do not be afraid to reach out. To reach out to the Houston Police Department. Us and our Houston Area Women's Center and Shelter are available to help you. The DA's office is working very closely with us. Our victim services is working very closely with the victims, and we promise you that we will get you on the path to safety, to security, and to mental health, emotional health, and health of your family. So please know that that's going to be an area that we're going to be working on. I'm going to work on trying to add some lotion to my arms too. I feel like a lizard, so if you see things flying off, I am a lizard. Okay. If you see things flying off, just know you ain't imagining it, because I haven't had time to deal with. Did I miss any other points in terms of the areas?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you include street racing in the
Yes, we do.
road rage thing? Okay.
Yes, we do. So the street racing, look, the highways are supposed to be used for the safe and efficient movement of people and goods, not for people, especially men in their 20s, 30s, and 40s that think that they're part of the Fast and the Furious, right? They've been watching too many movies. They grew up with these cars. They don't realize that in the Fast and the Furious, that's Hollywood. You get a second take, a third take, a fourth take. And there was a young man named Paul that was in those movies. What was his last name? Walker? I don't remember his last name. Paul Walker. You guys remember Paul Walker? Had everything to live for. He decided to go out in a Porsche in U-Haul, California, tried to do in real world what he was doing on television, and guess what? He's dead. The highways are no place for people to engage in takeovers, in road rage, and in racing. It just isn't. In terms of road raging, be aware that the road rage incidents are happening in broad daylight, where people are losing their minds, making an emotional reaction because somebody cut them off, or somebody didn't signal, or somebody is going too slow for them, and they're making that emotional reaction and shooting, and it's happening during the day in rush hour traffic, primarily from 3 to about 8 p.m. Here in the greater Houston area, and we are taking people down and have made numerous arrests with our major assaults team and our group that we put together. One last thing that I want to mention about gun violence: I'm proud to say that we have deployed a tool called ShotSpotter. in Houston at no cost to the taxpayer. It took us 4 years to get this pilot, but that is paying dividends. We are actually making arrests within minutes of the shots being discharged, because this system is that good, and and it provides that real-time, actionable intelligence that we can actually act on. I'm very proud of our patrol officers and our street crime units that are going out and catching these bad guys. That's making a difference. And in terms of the violent crime, in terms of the robberies and the things that we're dealing with in this city, we are working very closely with our federal partners, with our federal partners and the U.S. Attorney's Office and our federal court system to hold violent criminals accountable. So with that, I want to say thank you again to our team. Thank you all for your leadership. I look forward to the questions, and thank you to the mayor and council members. Thank you for being here and your leadership, and thank you for being part of the all-hands approach to responding to this weather emergency we've been suffering from for the last week. Any questions? And I'll do Spanish.
Yeah, I have a question.
Did you see, oh, sorry.
What?
I'm sorry.
Did you want to come up?
No, I had a question for you.
Oh, yeah.
What are we doing about convenience store owners who are allowing people to congregate?
That's a great question. We're starting to identify these convenience stores in our city, predominantly in areas that are suffering from some of this violence, and they're becoming a magnet for violence. And I thank you for bringing that up. And let me just tell you, to the convenience store owners, we are going to start doing nuisance cases on those convenience stores that have become magnets for, quite frankly, people engaging in criminal activity, drug sales, and the ensuing violence that occurs in and around these convenience stores. We're closely tracking our calls for service and our criminal events at these locations, and Chiefs Slinkard and Finner and their teams are working very closely with the county attorney's office and the city attorney's office, and we're starting to put together nuisance cases, public nuisance cases on these convenience stores. So be a responsible owner. Put up no loitering signs. Keep people. You have rights as private businesses to keep people off of your premises. And I'm here to tell you, if you're going to let people hang out and engage in criminal activity, and it's creating this violence, you're probably going to end up dealing with an abatement, a nuisance abatement, a lawsuit brought to you by the county attorney's office in conjunction with the city attorney and the Houston Police Department, because it is a problem. And I want to thank my executive assistant chiefs, Finner and Slinkard and their teams, for actually getting the data and the evidence we need to start getting these cases going. So thank you so much for bringing that up. I really appreciate that.